Hey Eric, how you doing tonight?
Well,
week 4 of the stay at home.
it's hard to believe it's a month, but it's hard to believe it's only been a month. Or is that?
I think
there's a joke in there somewhere.
Both things can be true at the same time.
It's hard to believe it's been a month.
Yeah,
it feels like 9.
Yeah.
It's taken forever.
And we're not out of the woods yet, so yeah.
No.
I feel for people in big cities that are, in their small apartments and not able. That would be really, really hard. I am. Although we were talking at dinner last night that, my older boy was like, yeah, I haven't spoken to a human outside the family for weeks, which isn't entirely true because he's had Zoom classes, and stuff like that. So, and he's had music lessons and whereas, I talk to people all day, every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my social isolation is my comfort zone. I don't know, but I am. I'm on a lot of video calls. So,
yep.
But yeah, the rest of the family is really just kind of figuring out this whole remote school thing. What's it going to be like, and what are we doing? And
yeah, because school is officially online for the rest of the school year here in Oregon. There will be no graduation, no end of school celebrations, no any of that. It's online school for the last 3 months. Well, I guess technically 2 more months of school, the school year.
Yeah. I feel so bad for the seniors. And then we'll see if we're starting
up in September. Yeah, I feel bad for seniors, and my boy's in 8th grade moving into high school next year, and the 8th graders at their middle school have always had a fun end of year activity for just the 8th graders. Aww. There's kind of a tradition, and they're not going to be able to do that. So, although my boy is he doesn't care. He has his Zoom classes, and he's like, I'm not putting my camera on. Having your video is optional. And so he's like, I'm not doing it.
Oh, really?
Right. Yes. He refuses to have his face seen.
That's fun. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we were on a parent-teacher Zoom conference last night for my younger boy's class. And so it was actually, my wife was like, oh, it was so good to see everybody. Because, we, they see each other all the time, picking the kids up and at school things and everything else. But it was really the teachers scheduling it for, all right, we've been doing this, Zoom every day for a week now, basically. How's it working? What's not working? What is working? How, what can we tweak? What can we tune? And it was good. It was a nice conversation. I think that it feels like, at least in our house, some of the subjects are going to get really short shrift, and there's just not much you can do about it. And, for example, my younger boy they had a middle school choir, and he's in a small enough school that this isn't like a optional thing. It was, okay, the middle school will have a choir. And so they're not, the music teacher asked them to record themselves singing a song, thinking that, she would go and, stitch them all together and, do one of those kind of cool things. But you sort of really need people that are really enthusiastic and gung-ho about choir to do that kind of thing. Not, oh my gosh, I'm doing this myself in my room. It's not happening. I don't know. So we'll see. I like band. I don't know how they're going to do band class. I don't think it's going to be possible. So
yeah,
we'll just have to see what happens. I guess.
So how to do an online choir reminded me of. Have you seen John Krasinski's Some Good News? Have you seen those videos?
No.
I will throw one in the notes. So he's just doing short out of his house news blurbs and just talking about somebody. It's a YouTube show now. In episode 2 was he had got a tweet or an email or something from a girl who wanted to go see Hamilton and couldn't see it, and so she watched Mary Poppins Returns on Netflix or wherever you could watch it.
Okay.
And the email went because Emily Blunt is John Krasinski's wife, who was Mary Poppins.
Oh,
well,
okay.
as part of his Zoom surprise, he had the entire cast of Hamilton do one of the songs on a Zoom video, with Zoom. So all the little tiny squares,
Right.
And it was very well done.
And then he recorded it for his YouTube
Yes, and
channel.
It was fully recorded. Then he posted it, and it was a lot of fun. So I'll throw that. That should probably be my something fun. But
that does sound like it's something fun.
It's a fun little. We're having early fun today. John Krasinski, Some Good News. You just Google that and you'll find him there.
Should I, this is going to say the type of person that I am. Should I know who John Krasinski is?
Have you seen Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime?
I did. That was him?
That's John Krasinski.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Also the dude from The Office. The U.S. Office, if you ever saw The Office. The TV show.
Steve Carell.
Yes.
Okay.
Ding.
I might have watched 1 or 2 episodes, but
okay.
I'm not much. I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm not a great, a sterling example of, whatever you call paying attention to mass market media. Okay. Anyway, well, that's cool.
I have teenagers who do that for me and tell me what's cool that I should go watch.
That is helpful. I think I repressed my teenagers, so maybe I should do less of that.
So aside from that, what else you do this weekend?
I was reading. All right. Sorry. What else did you do this weekend?
I just see in the notes. I just built this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mentioned that I was working on electrical wiring and a couple of weeks ago when I took the week off, and so it takes a long time to wire up all the boxes and I've mostly got the main wiring all done. And then I was trying to get, one of the things we did was with my boys, I was trying to get I guess you'd call it the ceiling put up, but the underside of the ceiling, the decorative part, so that I could drill holes in it for the lights. And because lights these days are kind of cool. You don't have to put cans in anymore in between rafters and stuff, which you used to have to do to kind of have offset for heat, so you didn't burn your house down. But with LEDs, they literally just kind of pop up and, clip in. Right. They don't take anything at all. But the problem there is that you kind of have to know exactly where you want to drill the holes. And so, anyway, so we got all but one sheet of beadboard up top, and I was rushing to try to get the last thing done, and so I cut it all out. I had to cut it around attic ladder, those things that you pull down. Yeah. So I installed one of those, months ago. And so I get it cut out, and then we're lifting it up above. The bad thing is I'm making them lift it up above their heads and kind of hold it in place while I use the nail gun to nail it in place. And And they're like, it doesn't fit. And I was like, no, move it a little bit far. It needs to go your way. And they're like, it doesn't fit, Dad. And I'm like, oh, I didn't cut it off. And we only literally had 5 minutes. And I was totally like, I had been rushing for, come on, we could get it done before, honestly, it was before my younger boy had a D&D Zoomathon. I don't know what you would call it, but he and his buddies were getting together to play D&D over Zoom. And you know, I'm the type of guy that would totally support that. But anyway, so we dropped it, and that's where I got to pick it up this weekend. But it's all mostly there. I bought the heaters that I need to install, but I need new circuits for those. Anyway, but yep, just lots of outdoors working with my hands time, which is good, and listening to podcasts, which is nice. But yeah. And then the other big thing for us, I think I mentioned we got like 8 baby chicks a couple weeks ago. Or I at least posted a pic on Twitter, and they've been in our kitchen. I saw
the eggs.
Well, the eggs are not from the chicks yet. The chicks are very much babies, but they've been literally in our kitchen for the last 2 weeks, which, you know, peep
under a lamp.
Yeah, under a lamp and in a water trough, honestly. And so it was nice to get them out of there because they made a lot of dust. But so we built a little another brooder thing for outdoors so they wouldn't, you know, die of the cold, because they're a little too big to just be in such a confined area, but not big enough to have all their feathers in and stuff like that. So they're outside, which is fun. Yeah, lots of stuff around the farm, basically, for me. So that's good.
Cool.
When I'm sitting down here in my chair for so long, I need to get up and like move, which is fun.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to rename follow up to just Zoom up or something.
What's happening with Zoom this week?
What's happening with Zoom? Because that's all the follow up this week. Again.
Yeah, what's up with Zoom? Oh, okay. I'm looking at the notes. Yes, I read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're the few that I saw, which, and I'm sure you saw them as well. I did not know that you can be arrested, fined, or go to prison for Zoom bombing. It's now an official thing from the Justice Department, the U.S. Department of Justice.
What?
I
did not read that one.
They have issued what is it called? Not a ruling, a decision, a warning. Guidance? I don't know what it is. Guidance. Yeah, that they're due to the rise in the number of Zoom bombing, and this is a quote from the Justice Department memo, video hacking across the United States. The state of Michigan has seen several. This is a ruling from the Justice Department in Michigan, but it's still the U.S. Anyways, the state of Michigan has seen several instances of such hacking just this week. Hackers are disrupting conferences and online classrooms with pornographic and/or hate images and threatening language. I am not sure this is actually hacking, so I take a little issue with the word hacking there.
That is not hacking.
But they have issued guidance that charges may include, just to name a few, disrupting a public meeting. Didn't know that was a crime. Computer intrusion. Using a computer to commit a crime, hate crime, fraud, or transmitting threatening communication. So for all the bored teenagers, which apparently there's Reddit groups and other groups where bored teenagers congregate and then all find public Zoom things and then go Zoom bomb and do obnoxious things. The Justice Department has decided that they'll probably end up charging a few people, and hopefully it will. The people who are just doing it for fun will I air quote the fun there.
Yeah.
Will decide to do other things.
Yeah. Well, I have seen more guidance around what to do, like setting the meeting password, for example. And also in the last couple of Zoom meetings I've seen, including the ones from the school, they all include a password. Yep. So like we got on last night and it was I don't know. So I was joining on a device that I had not received the email from, and my wife was like, well, you don't have the link on there. And I was like, oh no, it's just this number. And, from their URL, they have a nice little, zoom.us/j/the number. The number is the meeting number. And then you have to type the password in too. But it was, I've seen passwords where I did not the first couple of meetings I saw.
Yeah, and I saw another article on New York City is forbidding schools from using Zoom for remote learning. And I was like, oh no, this is going to roll through everything else. And we've just invested a whole ton of brain power teaching teachers in the last month to use Zoom. And now we're going to try to have them switch to something else. Fortunately, I read a note from the Oregon school district. Our Oregon schools have a bit of call it a more measured response. They are continuing to train and use Zoom for various things, but exactly what you just mentioned, they're also including in their training how to meet with have meetings with passwords for schools, how the host can control who's on and whatnot. So, mute the mute all button, things like that. So, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they all have and have gone through some growing pains. I'm not sure if you were going to go back to it, though, but your first link in here is also like one of the fundamental problems, though.
Yes.
What that one is Zoom conceding that their custom encryption is substandard.
Problem with that sentence? Custom encryption.
Custom encryption. Exactly. So, I mean, if there's one thing, like the first thing you learn in secure development when it comes to algorithms like that is you don't invent your own encryption in any way, shape, or form. You don't invent your own hashing functions. You don't invent your own encryption functions. You don't invent your own signing functions because it is so easy to get them wrong. I mean, we literally spend a decade or longer coming up with possible, successor algorithms, having researchers around the world poking at them, testing them, trying to find weaknesses. And, before we settle on what one we're gonna use, and then, have rigorous tests around it so that we can have some assurance that, it's not perfect assurance, but that, implementations of those are solid. But you shouldn't even go implement one that you use a library, use OpenSSL. Anyway. It's just such an anti-pattern that the fact that, last year they were, we'll just run a local server on localhost and accept connections is horrifying. And, just what could be hard about encryption? Just, horrifying.
That's right.
So, there's anti-patterns there. I really do think, I've read a bunch of stuff about, from the CEO of what they're trying to do. And I want to give them the benefit of good intentions and just trying to go fast and provide value and focus on the customer value. But as a security person, like there's things there that I just can't countenance. And so that gives me pause. But you have a final link in here for follow-up, though, that is reassuring.
Yes, Zoom has established a counsel, CISO counsel, CISO. What would that be? Chief Information Security Officer Office.
Yeah.
And they are pulling on expertise from well-known industry experts, public experts, to come help them solve their problems. And they have been more recently very open, Zoom has in general, with what they're trying to fix, and very out there. They had no choice, really. But it is appreciated to see, their public moves to try to get this right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, this is. I'm looking at the article there. I'm really. It's a sign of character that when you get a black eye, that you don't sort of retreat and become defensive, but really kind of lean in and fix. So that's really promising. So let's see. I mean, I think we even said last week that, what really matters is, will we be doing follow-up saying, yeah, they fixed them. And it feels like they're trying to fix it. They're trying, but some of those might take a little bit. So let's see how fast they can fix them. We'll see. Yep. So there's done with our Zoom up for the week. Moving on to Breach of the Week. I saw you threw something in Breach of the Week. Yeah, I mean, the reason why this kind of topped one of my lists is it's in Italy, which is already, they're dealing with a lot of other stuff at the moment. But this is a breach of a popular email service in Italy, so email.it, and they have 600,000 users that are now being in this breach. So, and at least according to the hackers, they claim that they were actually in more than 2 years ago, in January 2018. Mm. It looks like they attempted to extort money from the site itself, but when they refused to pay and notified the Italian postal police, that the hackers are now selling the data on the dark web. Mm. So anyway, this seems to be the thing. But this, unlike most of our things, this doesn't seem to be open S3 bucket or a exposed Mongo or Elasticsearch database. This looks like it was an actual intrusion. Wow, with plain text passwords. Oh, I hadn't even caught that. Yikes. All right. Not good. Not good. So anyway, yep, that was the one that I saw this week and threw in there. So I wish them well. I have two topics. Okay, hit me. My first topic is along the lines of passwords and using one-time passwords or 2FA. It's been a while since we've talked about whatever you want. Two-factor authentication or. Apparently, back in January, Apple had proposed a format, a standard SMS one-time password proposal to help solve some problems with one-time passwords. And just recently, Google has decided to also back the proposal. And the only big one left to back the proposal is Firefox and Mozilla, and they are currently not backing it. There's some notes that you can read about their things they don't like about it, but the idea behind what this one is, it basically standardizes how a one-time password is sent to your phone via SMS. So typically you go to an app or a website and you can hit a button that says, when I log in, send me a one-time passcode.
A lot of sites do this, and we've talked about how SMS in general is not that great. But this adds the ability for the device manufacturer or maybe an app developer to be able to, when that SMS comes in, have some identifications and say this SMS code is for this site, and when you go to either paste that in or the app goes to use that, the app can verify that it's trying to go to the correct site. Mm-hmm. So you don't get an SMS and send that SMS off to some third party or a hacker site. So that's the idea behind it. And I thought it was pretty simple and
nice.
Not a solution necessarily, but definitely a step in the right direction. It seems easy enough that I don't know why this wouldn't be adopted by everybody. And it just standardizes how SMS one-time codes will work for everyone, because every website that does one does them slightly differently.
Right. Well, I to the best of my knowledge, there is no standard today. But
no.
I wonder how many of these codes are sent to browsers on phones, or where there is something like whatever Apple calls the fact that you can have, your SMSs show up in messages on the Mac. Because this seems most useful for automation around it, at least, when
right,
the SMS is maybe not intercepted, but being able to be programmatically read and then auto logging you in. So, and that seems most useful on a mobile browser.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that is just that, is it gives the app developer some, if there's a standard way to that the SMS is going to show up, then the device developer, Android or iOS, could provide app developers APIs that if you're following this format and your website or your app is going to send these codes, if you do it this way, we can do some automagic stuff for you.
Right. So the user doesn't have to re-enter APIs. That number.
Right. So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I'll be curious that's the first I've heard of that. So I'll be curious to see what happens with it.
Yeah. And it's completely unrelated to coronavirus or Zoom. So
Hey, well played.
On that note, I want to.
And now we're done with the non-coronavirus part of the
That's right.
Of the podcast. Oh, okay, I see.
So there's been a lot of, you saw in China and I think Europe and other countries, was it Russia or I shouldn't be calling out countries, but I think if you have paid attention to the coronavirus news, there have been efforts by governments to track users. Yes. And we have had that come up in the news that, well, if everybody would install this app on their phone, we could track to see if you talked to somebody who had, if you were nearby someone who had been diagnosed, so now you should get tested. So, altruistically, is that the right word? That sounds like a good idea, but it can be very concerning were it to continue.
Yeah.
Beyond, if you had access to that data, it would be useful for things beyond just the current state. So,
and very unlikely to ever be rolled back, let's say.
Correct. Yeah. Well, once you give up some privacy or once you give something up, it's hard to rein that back in, as we've seen with lots of things on the internet. But anyways, so this was it says researchers invent a method to track coronavirus while protecting privacy. That's kind of the gist of it. And looking at it, it's actually very simple. I like very simple solutions. So, but it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So basically the idea is you install this app on your phone, and the app does not connect up to the internet for anything, while it basically gathers randomly generated numbers and timestamps. And so it just kind of is doing that, and it's broadcasting those over Bluetooth Low Energy or NFC or any of these kind of short distance protocols that your phone might support. And so you're broadcasting these random numbers at various intervals. And the research paper has a lot more detail. I'm just giving kind of a high level. And then you also on the app can receive broadcasts from other people who are running the app. But all you get is a random number and a timestamp. And you're recording a timestamp. So all you're getting is just these random numbers that are cycled and generated, and there's a whole thing for how to see the numbers and in the article. But
so you're basically collecting a log of everyone who you were within Bluetooth Low Energy range of.
Right. Over some period of time, and then the logs expire. So after 2 weeks, that number goes away. Then what you can do is take the app and say, I'm going to send up to a medical professional or a server somewhere and say, here's a bunch of random numbers. You would send up your random numbers that don't tie to you. There's just a bunch of random numbers and timestamps, and then it correlates those and says, did somebody else send random numbers? And if they were diagnosed, then the app could tell you your random number got a hit.
Interesting.
So that's kind of the high level. There's a lot more details of how it works for security, and there is some amount of, you need a medical professional, intermediary, and there are certain people that we have to trust, the doctors. So you would take the app, the doctor would on your behalf do the check up at the WHO or wherever. So there's a lot more detail in the paper, but I thought it was an interesting way and an attempt to be able to track who you've been nearby,
right,
without necessarily giving up privacy of my physical location at the time.
Right.
All I know is that I was next to this random number at this timestamp, but I don't know where. I could have been at home or, at the grocery store or wherever. It's not tracking location. It's just tracking equating random numbers at timestamps. So if you're interested
that's interesting.
in that,
no, that's nice.
there's the research paper.
Things that would allow a previously incapable ability, but in a less give away the farm way.
Right.
That's nice.
Right.
That's nice. All right. That's cool. I mean, by the time this is all over, then maybe we'll remember what we're supposed to do for next one. Although I'm not sure we did from the last one. The article I pulled out was actually something that one of our friends on the Slack channel posted in the general, which was about COBOL. I'm sure that you've heard of the. I would imagine that most all of us have somebody that we know who's been affected from, job wise, from the coronavirus. Because there are, I think the number was in the United States, 6 million applications for unemployment last week. If there's a number for this week, I haven't heard what it is.
It's a massive number.
Yeah. So this article is the fact that the New Jersey, so this is about the New Jersey Unemployment Office and how many claims they've seen. So it says they saw 362,000 in the first week of the outbreak as compared to so it was 30 during the past 2 weeks, 362,000 filed for unemployment, but there was a 16,000. Nope, I can't say numbers tonight. there's a 1,600% increase in the state's unemployment claims during the first week. So, that's a lot. And then, but the thing about that is the system is overloaded and backed up, but that system is built on COBOL. Although evidently the person in the press conference that was announcing this called it Cobalt. COBOL is not Cobalt. Cobalt is an element. COBOL is a language. So, and ironically, although I've programmed in a lot of different languages, I have never done anything in COBOL, to the best of my knowledge.
The closest I've ever gotten to COBOL would be Fortran or Apple Basic or AppleSoft Basic.
Yeah,
from the 80s.
I've for sure done Basic. That was what you did back in the day. I mean, that's what came on a Commodore 64 and on an Apple II. But and you're right, the closest I've probably been is Fortran. So Fortran is a language that's almost as old, but where COBOL is designed for business, Fortran was designed for math, right? Mm-hmm. So Fortran's strength was like, intrinsic matrix functions, right? And I did I'm sure I haven't said on the podcast, and I'm not even sure I've ever told you, but my first job where I guess it was in my graduate internship, was writing COBOL bindings to a parallel language on supercomputers.
Fortran bindings or COBOL bindings?
Did I say COBOL bindings? Fortran bindings.
Yeah.
Fortran, because it was, hey, we've got all of this, mathematical code, fluid dynamics code, written in Fortran, and we want to run it on these computers, and their parallel processing language is this C dialect. How do we do that? And I was like, oh, well, we can do that. Anyway. But yeah, that was my...
You can do anything with code.
You can do anything with code. Presumably still write COBOL. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, COBOL is 60 years old, at least according to the article.
Wow.
Which is hard to think about, right? Isn't that impressive? So, but the other quote here is, by the late 80s, it had become sufficiently obsolete that many universities did not include it in their computer science curricula. I think that might have happened before the mid 80s or the late 80s. I remember mocking COBOL when I was in college, which is, a long time ago. But then this is the other two interesting data points in here are a report from 2017 found that over 220 billion with a B lines of COBOL code are still in use. And 95% of ATM swipes are powered by COBOL. And 43% of banking systems are built on the legacy programming language, according to the study that's just a few years old.
And so nobody knows how to use COBOL anymore. All the COBOL programmers are retired.
I know a buddy of mine's dad is a retired COBOL programmer. Maybe he should talk to New Jersey. But yeah, I think, and I remember hearing or reading something not too terribly long ago that, developers who were willing to work in COBOL could make some good salary.
Yeah, well, if your financial, basically America's financial system is run on COBOL. That's where the money is.
That is where the money is. So the final quote that I pulled out of this article was, each day, $3 trillion in commerce is handled by COBOL code.
Part of me just sits there and goes, thank goodness it's not JavaScript. I'll take COBOL over JavaScript on $3 trillion any day of the week.
You, my friend, are not wrong. You are not wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things. I don't think that it makes sense to just rewrite something because it's old or because you want to rewrite it. I think there are things that you do need to kind of stay up on, and you need to kind of keep moving forward. Particularly, the thing that scares me more isn't the language, but the hardware. And, hardware support is something that, is more concerning to me.
Yeah. How much of that $3 trillion running on COBOL code is also running on mainframes from the 1960s?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is this is one of the things that I didn't know until I worked mainframe adjacent.
I've been there.
That, one of the cool things about mainframes, or the AS400 was one of the systems that some of our code had to run on at one point, and we had a guy that did that porting. But one of the cool things about those systems is they're bulletproof, right? I mean, they're designed for reliability, including things like having one of the things that I always remembered was like hardware enforced for whether a piece of memory is executable or not, right? So like in the memory, when it would load a program into memory, you had to have the memory flagged for whether it's executable or not. And, by doing that, it eliminates a huge class of bugs that, allow a person in, today's, let's say, x86 instruction language to be able to, sort of squirrel away a series of instructions and then have a buffer overflow or some, ROP trick to, force the instruction pointer to a value that that you've got code at, and now you've hijacked the program. So it's harder to do, way harder to do in a protected. It's not protected memory, but in a more strict memory environment, and those systems run until they run every day and twice on Sunday. Anyway, but they're also slow these days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's probably enough about topics. What do you got? What do you got fun for me?
All right. So I have one fun. You can click on the link there. I added it into the document. I just saw you threw the link in. So I wanted to learn how to do maps, but I thought, well, what data set, could I use that might be interesting for maps? And I saw the New York Times they've been publishing cases by county cases by state for the coronavirus, either cases and deaths. And I suppose that's a little morbid, but I thought, well, okay, so there's a data set. If I want to learn how to take data and apply it to a map, so I'm pulling the New York Times data set and using high charts to basically plot the coronavirus over time. So you can move forward in time and backward in time. And I have cases by county, cases by state, deaths by county, deaths by state. And anyway, so this was me. I thought it was kind of fun. In I suppose, morbid, a little bit unfortunate kind of way, but to learn how to do mapping with the high charts APIs. So that was my something fun, learning how to do that. And it is kind of cool because you can kind of, if you go back in time, you can see how it spreads across the U.S.
Yeah, I'm back to 3.1
by county. Yeah,
I think you need to add a little animate button here. And then my
Yeah.
second bug for you is that you shouldn't let it go past today.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's just tacked together. One of the other things I want to do.
Always a critic.
Now, the other thing I want to do with it is I was trying to figure out if I could run a GitHub action because I take the data. The data is not formatted in a way that lends itself nice to the charts that I built. Uh-huh. So I do some manipulation of the data, but I have to run it manually every day and then check it in to my little website here. So I was trying to figure out if I could run a GitHub action to do that for me and just have that automation run once a day. So anyways,
you are a smart man.
I thought it was interesting data to play with and something I learned how to do. And then my second something fun goes to my waistline. Daughter number 2 has discovered her inner chef.
Okay.
And she has been making nice dinners from mostly she's pulled it from a website. We have a cookbook called Our Best Bites, and there's a website. It's a couple ladies who started a food blog years ago, and it's very colorful and very nice. And so if you're looking for some fun recipes, go check out Our Best Bites for dinner ideas. And
cool.
they even have a world's best homemade Play-Doh. So not only is it food, but
don't eat it.
If you're looking for some other types of things, you can learn how to do Play-Doh.
And if you manage to get the bag of flour before they were all gone out of the stores.
Yeah. And then I mentioned at the beginning, but I threw in the link to the John Krasinski Some Good News YouTube. You'll have to watch that after we're done here. But those are my something funs.
Okay, those are cool. All right. Well, I'm browsing food out there. So, okay, I'll have to come back to the notes, John. Come back to the notes. Okay, I grabbed 2 something funs. Did you look at my first one?
I'm just looking at the background matting one now.
Okay, so this is super cool. So this falls under the I guess heading of machine learning, but it is so. Everybody's been doing Zoom meetings these days, right? And we've done Teams and WebEx, and you noticed a lot of them will allow you to say blur background.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen that? You've used it?
Yep.
Right? But it's not great. Right? It's not great. This could be great. So what this is a paper that is going to be in the, what is CVPR? IEEE Conference on Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition. But it is basically a 2-shot mechanism to do better background replacement. They actually say the world is your green screen. So they basically say, okay, just with a smartphone camera, take a picture of your background, and then you can stand in front of the camera and record it. And instead of having a green screen, since you have the picture from your background without the person in it, it uses some new techniques to basically learn what they call it an alpha mat, but basically the mat that is going to be used for what pictures of the video or what portions of the video you should take and then put on top of whatever other background you want. And it's really impressive. You kind of have to watch the video. It's just like a 37-second video to really get a feel for it. But I mean, it's the sort of thing that, the researcher student is kind of standing in front of the camera shaking your head with, her hair. So like her hair goes side to side, and then they can put a different background behind her, and it's pretty darn perfect. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell the difference. You might have to go to, like a 4K video or something like that to try and like slow it down frame by frame to really kind of catch the differences. Did you watch the video?
No, I haven't. I'm not watching the video yet. I'll do that afterwards. But the thing that I've always seen that makes it obvious to tell that you're on a different background, or you're doing this, changing the background on you, is lighting and coloring is different between, the image that you took and the lighting where you were and the lighting in the scene you're going to put it behind. So I wonder, I haven't seen, does it has to try to compensate for that as well.
No, I don't think this is compensating for that.
No?
I don't think it's doing that. I think this is purely about figuring out what pixels of the image are going to be. So if you were, recording yourself in a dim area and then trying to position yourself in front of a bright background, I think it would look weird.
Okay.
I think it would look weird. I think it
doesn't try to go that far. Okay.
At least not in the video. Okay. In fact, hold on. We'll just pause right here for like 30 seconds. You should watch the video. I'll wait.
All right. 37 seconds. I'm going to watch the video. Oh, crap. It's full video. I thought it was just an image. Okay. The video is way cooler than I had thought. Okay.
Would I lead you astray with something fun that wasn't truly fun? Come on.
All right. No. Okay. All right. Now that I watched the video, that is way cooler than I thought it was initially. I guess I hadn't fully grokked the concept. Now I get it. That is very cool.
But now picture that. I mean, just something as prosaic as the background switcher in Teams or in WebEx. This is the sort of stuff that will be rushed to market very fast, I predict.
And now we're going to get a different style of deepfakes. So real people, not changing the faces, but now the background is the deepfake.
Oh, I hadn't really...
The physical location becomes your deepfake.
Hadn't thought about that. Very possible.
I'm actually in Paris right now, as you can see by the Eiffel Tower behind me. And look, I'm moving around.
Yeah, exactly. Does this look like a green screen?
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so that's my first one. And then my second one is something that I've been doing. One of the other things I've been doing at night is I've been going through learning Swift UI, because I avoided learning Objective-C, but I'm kind of wanted to play around, and so I've gone through a number of tutorials here, and it's pretty darn cool. It's actually really, really cool. So it's hard to know where the boundaries are. So Swift is Apple's new programming language that you write iPhone apps in, and potentially Mac
apps. Yeah.
But the Swift UI is their latest framework. They released it in 2019. That is their kind of like React framework that is more declarative. So you don't have to say when this button gets clicked, go do this. Or it's not imperative programming, it's declarative programming. So you associate actions and manage state. You don't really manage control flow. So, which makes a lot of sense when you're doing iPhone apps. And I'm talking to you, who has actually written many apps. So whatever, you're the pro. I am but a mere Padawan. But I finished doing this, and last night I was like, okay, so let me try and go do this other thing with like data bindings, and it was shockingly easy. So I'm kind of excited, and this is kind of cool. And so I thought that this would be my other something fun. So, and there's this website called hackingwithswift.com, and the link in here is for Swift UI by example, and it sort of walks through a basic app, which is it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. So it's like, and it's all on basically YouTube videos too. At the top of each page, they've got a YouTube video that's like 3 to 7 minutes. So it's really easy to go through, and it was very fun to do. So check it out.
Well, I can't talk because I have not done a single thing with Swift UI. I've only read about it. So
yeah,
maybe I'll have to play with it.
Well,
at some point,
it's cool. He's very clear in here, so you can see the frequently asked questions at the head of this site. If you go there, he's like, "Should I learn Swift UI if I want to?" And he's like, "I mean, yes, but you can't just because presumably you'll get like past the hello world apps, and then you run into a brick wall where you have to go learn UIKit, which is Apple's quote unquote legacy SDK." So. Anyway, it was fun. It was cool. I thought I would pass that out. So I actually did a lot of that during my spring break too. Like that was my the family's all going to bed and I'm still good for another hour or two. Let me go down and go through a few tutorials.
Cool. Well, I am looking forward to your first app.
Yeah, we'll see. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. But, all right, man. Call it a show.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, John.
All right. Be safe. Wash your hands, everybody.
Yep.
All right.
20 seconds.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.